You know what time it is? This is important. Let's do a quick little prayer. Deep breath in. Dear God, thank you for giving every single person on this planet the most amazing mission and purpose in this life. Thank you for making your purpose and the most grandest life we could ever achieve so easy and clear for us to see. And thank you for giving us the power and the ability to bend reality and create the most amazing life we could ever imagine. And thank you for all the amazing things that are about to happen in our life. Let's go.
Amen.
Pop quiz, Nick Long.
Yes, sir.
Why are some people blessed by luck, why others are not so lucky?
I don't think there is a such thing as luck.
Okay. How do some people get why do some good things happen to some people and bad things happen to other people? What do you think? Random?
No.
Got an idea?
I think it's like the energy that they're putting out there.
Energy. Ooh. Dave, what do you think?
You attract what you put out there.
Attract what you put out there. Is it in your control or out of your control? In your control. Okay. I want to share a really quick story. A few years ago, I was on this 7th month losing streak in my business, right? Nothing was working. My team was sucking. My business was screwed. But even worse than all that, my mindset was in the trash, right? You ever been there where your laundry's piling up and things just aren't working and you don't want to even touch the computer anymore? Well, I used to be this super driven, hustling guy that was on top of his goals and flying. But all of a sudden, I couldn't figure out how to get back there. I had lost this drive and energy and motivation that I had going on. So one day, I had this mentor a long time ago. He's like, hey, if you want to make more money, just track how much money you make every single day. So for 1,300 days, I was putting on a graph how much money I was making. And as I was looking at this graph, I discovered something weird. This actually wasn't the first losing streak I had been on. This is the 4th losing streak, right? Things used to suck over here, and then it would take off, and then it would suck over here, and then it would explode. It would suck and explode. And I'm like, man, I've actually been in this losing streak a couple of times before, and I'm looking at this graph, and it was so weird because this would suck for 4 months, and then boom, there's this epic win streak would happen, and then suck and boom. It's like, man, I really wish I could figure out what I was thinking about right before life took off each one of these times in the graph, right? Because I could use that. I could really get back to that. And then I realized, holy shit, I have been journaling this entire time. I'm like a hardcore journaler. I'm putting in 200 entries a year for the past 7 years. I can actually go back to 2 weeks right before life was about to take off and explode to see what I was thinking about. So I dove back into the journals and I discovered something really weird. Even though I felt like, things were sucking, I was going to be complaining or whatever, there was no complaining, there was no blaming, any of that. There was constant feeling. There's this vibe in the journals, like the winds of change were here. I don't care what you're going through, the winds of change were here and something amazing is about to happen, right? I was speaking about myself highly. I was very focused on the things that I was excited about. I was building myself up. But in one of the pages, there was this giant thing that said something amazing is about to happen. It was just standing out in big yellow letters. And I'm looking at this thing oh, this is kind of interesting. It was the more I focus, seems to me the more I focus on amazing things in my life and the more I feel like something amazing is about to happen, the graph takes off right away. Each one of these 3 different times on its own. So I'm like, this is kind of interesting. I was looking for something like this. I'm going to put this thing to the test, right? So I take this phrase and I hang it in my shower and I make it the sub-logo to my company and I put it in my living room and I put it on a book and I put it on a notepad, I put it on a t-shirt. So everywhere I go, I'd see this phrase and prime my mind for kind of something amazing is about to happen. And I start to put this morning routine together because it looked to me again like the energy of something amazing is about to happen would start to take things off. And as I begin to do that, weird things started happening in my business, right? I had this affiliate marketing company where I was building ads online and I couldn't get anything to work. All of a sudden we had this weird idea oh, let's try to work with this skincare brand. And we work with them and we get this little campaign that starts to pop. So we have this little win, this little thing starts to happen. And I'm doing this routine every day, focusing and what am I excited about? How am I building myself up? What amazing things are about to happen? And then as I do that, things start to work. And then the skincare guy's oh, actually, no, we don't want you to run Facebook traffic anymore. We want to take it all. So I had this like campaign that was suddenly making me 10 grand a day, just go back down again. It just kind of died. And I'm like, fuck, what just happened there, right? I thought I just had this like secret hack or whatever. But I still like, let's do it. Let's keep this momentum going. And all of a sudden, in my business, it was like, I've never started a skincare brand before. Let's start a skincare brand. We got this ad campaign that's kind of working. Well, I don't know how to make manufacturing products. And next thing I know, I meet this guy who has a pillow company that he's sick of doing pillows and he knows how to do manufacturing. He jumps on board. And then I meet this dermatologist who's like this famous dermatologist in Miami. And then we decide to shoot this infomercial. Next thing I know, we're launching the skincare brand and it starts to work. And 2 months later, I get this infomercial launched and all of a sudden COVID hits. And now every single woman in America, I'm starting to get messages like, I don't want to die a hot mess. I'm stressed the fuck out. Let me get some skincare products. And all of a sudden, my brand new little skincare brand goes from 0 to 100 grand our first month, 300 grand our second month, and $4 million by our third month. Just completely goes nuclear, right? I'm spending 80 grand a day on ads and getting $130,000 back, and this thing is booming, right? And this did not stop. All of a sudden, I started the biggest win streak of my life at the time. Did not know this was about to happen. We did 100 grand a day every single day for the next 8 months in a row on this brand. Finished the first year with $40 million in sales on a brand new skincare brand. And then my business partner decides to buy me out of the company. I get a 7-figure bag of cash dropped on my desk with the freedom to go do whatever I want. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. By now I was diehard, right? Because this phrase was in my shower. Every day I'm in my shower looking at this phrase, looking at these affirmations that I found inside my journals. And I'm like diehard with this thing. I'm like, what am I doing in Denver anymore? I'm going to go to Sweden. I'm going to get out of here. So I sell my cars. I throw everything in a storage unit. I go back to my shower and I look at this phrase, something amazing about to happen. And I'm like, I love this phrase so much. This has like changed my life more than anything. I'm going to take this with me, right? So I tattoo the phrase on my arm. And I just made this like a story that could kind of go through life on, like this feeling like something, the more you focus on amazing things, the more amazing things start to happen, right? I thought this was just going to be a casual story I was going to share with my friends. And then other people started tattooing the phrase on their arms and stuff like that. And then they've been asking me what my journal is. So what you guys have here is the Something Amazing is About to Happen book, which is a manifestation journal where every single day you basically answer yourself a couple questions. You guys know the 5-minute journal? It's very similar, except it's actually the dopest thing on the planet. And it's designed to help make all your wildest dreams come true. That's what you're holding right here. On top of that, we have workshops to help you get really clear on exactly the life that you're creating and exactly the identity you have to live from in order to live that life. So you can begin to call into life beyond your wildest dreams. That's the core thing. So that's the book that you're holding in front of you right now. Now, before you go off thinking that this is some, it's going to be sunshine and rainbows for the rest of your life because you just got this something amazing is about to happen secret, I got to keep on going with another story, right? I got to tell you how this thing progressed because you guys probably know I like God, right? I'm less about manifesting. I'm more about how to use the creative power of God that God has given us to make the dopest freaking life on the planet, because what else would you be trying to do, right? You should be going for the sickest shit you've ever thought of in your whole life. You only live once. Why would you be aiming any smaller than that? And the cool thing about God's plan is God, like, any sort of dad, just wants all of your dreams to come true too, right? Really weird stuff. So I'm less manifesting. I'm more God, even though what we're talking about is thoughts become things and you create your own reality, which is kind of like this weird thing that just happened here. So before I sold the skincare brand, I had a weird moment. I'm standing on top of a hill in San Francisco and I'm fucking kind of pissed off at God for a little bit because my business partner and I, we were building this like skincare brand conglomerate where we'd have 6 skincare brands. We could build it up, sell it to a private equity company, make a few $100 million because I know God made me for something more than just making money. Like everyone in this room, God has a plan that's more for you than just making money, what you're trying to do here. The money is just a tool. But the problem that I had with God was, hey, God, my business partner wants to take it slow. I want to drop 300 grand on Jennifer Anderson to be the face of a new brand so we can go really fast. I don't want to waste 6 years. Why are you using me? Why are you wasting 6 years of my life to like go do this long plan when you could use me for something so much better? I'm such a great like hustler for you, God. Like what's the deal with this? And I get this download back that says, oh, you're fine. Like, what do you mean I'm fine? My God, are we doing this or not? Like, we're supposed to do some epic shit with our life. Like it's 6 years. I don't even like skincare very much. Why are we even here? He's like, you're fine. You're good. I'm like, don't tell me we're good if we're not good. There's like no way that this could possibly happen. And God's like, you're fine. So I'm like, all right, wait, God says I'm fine. I asked God if we're cool. Guess we must be fine. So I'm sitting here on the mountain and I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you for guiding me. Thank you for making the path so easy and clear to see. Thank you for giving me such an extraordinary plan for our life. Thank you for giving us all an extraordinary plan for our lives. And I start to feel this energy. Like, thank you, God. You know, that like sending out this gratitude for the universe, even though I have no freaking clue what's going to happen. 2 months later, I enter into the office and my partner calls me in with these people that I hired 2 years ago. They were my old like employees. And they're kind of pissed off at me because turns out that my soul had left the building. Right? If you're not doing the coolest thing you've ever done in your whole life and you're not really passionate about it, your soul might leave the building and you might not be doing it too hard anymore. And this causes your team to be like, wow, this leader's not doing too hot. Anyway, that's what happened to me. And the way they talked to me about not thinking I deserved half the company of the next skincare brand was kind of a non-negotiable, and a mutiny began starting in the company. And even though I was terrified at the beginning, soon I connected the dots. Oh my gosh. I think God responded to my prayer. I think this is it. Crypto is kind of booming. And I'm like putting two things together. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I got like a 7-figure bag of cash right now, I could take all this money and dump it into crypto and get jet money, right? I could like 20X. I get like, I had my first $1 million streak in crypto last cycle. Now it's a new cycle. We could totally do it. So I decided, fuck it, let's go. Sell the thing, get my 7-figure bag of cash dropped on my desk. It was about $1.7 million, which was great at the time. My lawyer said that most people never get these things with partner blowups or whatever, so I took it and went off with it. I'm like, what am I doing living in Denver? I'm out of here, going to Sweden. I used to have a Swedish wife. It didn't work out, so I wanted to go back to Sweden and find some new people. I was like, I am going to make tens of millions of dollars while traveling around the world. And that was the plan. So what the first thing that happened, right? I put together this like developing team for the Binance blockchain to like scan the blockchain and look for a few people that just put in $5,000 to a brand new coin so I could get the first one in it, right? Early bird gets the worm with the crypto plays. And I'm making these investments and things starting to go up, right? It's starting to work. I find some heavy coins. I get really invested with them. I get to like 2 million, and then I get to 3 million, and then I get to 4 million. And then a friend calls me. He's like, yo, I'm going to go to Costa Rica and do some ayahuasca. You want to come with me? I'm like, fuck yeah. You know, God has been so cool to me. God has been so amazing and blessed me so much. I'm going to go there, and I'm not going to stop drinking this till I meet God in the face. And I say, what's up? Thanks for all the dope life. So ayahuasca time comes. You're so sick. And by the time I got there, my portfolio was at like $6 million. And I'm like, I love you, God. Thank you. This is so epic. Fuck yeah. Where's the ayahuasca, right? So the thing starts and I'm just slamming this thing. The shamans are trying to tell me to slow down, but I'm like, listen, I'm here to meet a friend. I don't give a fuck what you guys are doing. But I take shrooms sometimes. I know how high I kind of need to be, in this sense. So let's keep going. So eventually I go on this wild roller coaster. And finally, after a complete dust storm of craziness, I finally run into God. And guess where she was the entire time? Standing right behind me. And I never knew it. Imagine somebody who's so far ahead of you in your life and knows so much about you that they've been behind you watching everything you've ever done and you never even realized it. I turn around and I see these big green eyes sparkling with the stars of the galaxy with like whatever there's on their eyes just looking at me. And I had all these things that I wanted to tell God I was so stoked about. Thank you for this thing. But my breath was taken away. Everything just fell out of my hand to the floor. And I'm just speechless for 5 minutes. And I'm like, and then she disappears. And the next day I'm like, all right, we're going back to God, right? We're going to take some more ayahuasca. I got to go catch this thing up. So the next day I meet back up with her and I'm like, listen, I used to have some mentors, kind of moved on from them. I've been looking for a new mentor. Actually the way that you were standing behind me is pretty gangster. I'm actually looking for somebody that's that freaking smart and ahead of me to kind of guide me. So how about this? Teach me everything you know and I will work for you for free. How about that? Teach me whatever you know and I will spend the rest of my life just executing God's plan like a champion. That's it. So we signed this 10,000-year contract and we're in. And I'm like, this is fucking awesome, right? She turns me into this like wizard. and a warrior who is like, has the power to create his own reality with imagination. She's teaching me all these like manifestation secrets. I'm like, this is sick. And then the fourth day that we're there, she sends me to like warrior training camp, like hell, you know, my own weird version of hell where like we had these shamans come in from Peru and they were taking this thing called yahe. And this is this weird ayahuasca that like rips the demons out of you through your mouth or whatever. So they're like in a room with 50 people violently screaming and throwing up, like terrified. One lady screaming bloody murder for 8 hours because she thinks they're gonna kill them all. And they're holding her down because she's trying to run away at 2 a.m. in the morning in Costa Rica. So it's just a real psycho fucking place. But I'm like, let's go. I'm off warrior. Come on. Perfect. Training, let's go, right? And then I realized actually what warrior training she was doing, because the second I get out of this camp, I realized that my crypto portfolio, I just went from $6 million to like 1.3. And there was a massive crash that I wasn't paying attention to because I was on ayahuasca the whole time and I didn't feel like looking at any of that shit.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of shocking, right? Whatever. I sell like 100 grand and then it tanks this project I'm in even more. And my friends are all pissed off at me because I'm like deep in this stupid coin no one should be deep into, right? And I realized, oh my God, if I sell everything right now, I'm going to kill the developers. I'm going to kill this project. There will never be a pump. And I'm going to, all my friends who are going to lose all their money. And I'm basically going to take all my friends' money. So I have this decision to make right here. What am I going to do? Am I going to screw this whole thing over and take the money or just wait for the next pump? And I decide, okay, let's wait it out. Go back to Stockholm, stay in a hotel, and 3 months later, I ride that thing all the way down to 300 grand. And then I pull the ripcord, sell everything, and then my friends kick me out of the Slack channel. Anyway, it's a fucking cult. Crypto's like, I mean, they welcome you in, but they'll kill you if you try to sell. So here I am, proper fucked, right? No team, no job, no business, no drive, living in a hotel, no cars, everything's in a storage unit, no girlfriend. All my friends from LA just flew back to LA. Proper screwed, okay? So here I go out to this little park in Stockholm. I need to have a conversation with God. Walk out of the park, sit down on this bench, look up in the sky, and I'm like, what's the deal on this one, God? I would have sworn we were going to get rich on this one. I thought this was the game plan. You and I both know I can do way more with my life if I'm super rich. If I have a ton of abundance, I can work miracles. I can do amazing things. We kind of went the opposite way on this one. You know, I thought you said this was the plan. It's not the plan. Are we still doing this or not? And God's like, dude, you're fine. Like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. This is like the most fucked I've ever been. He's like, no, you're fine. You're good. I'm like, are we doing this? He's like, yep. You're doing this. I'm like, okay, if God says we're fine, you know, you must be fine. So I walk back to my hotel. I got to figure out how the hell I'm going to get out of this situation. And I'm like, there's only one way. It's manifesting. I don't want to start a business here. So I head to the library and I start studying. I start looking for someone. I used to study Neil Donald Walsh a lot. This was my first book before my life took off, which is why I got so into God in the first place, right? I thought I needed skills, so I studied business stuff. And then I thought I needed, you know, subconscious mind because all these limited beliefs. And then random clients I had would just overdose on heroin and die. And I felt like I needed to talk to God to figure out what was going on with this bad luck thing that was happening to me. So I go back to studying and I find this guy named Neville Goddard. How many guys have heard Neville? It's sick. So I dive into Neville and he's talking about Bible stuff. I'm like, oh, not the Bible, please. First off, he was speaking some crazy wisdom that was like sucking me in, but he was going into the Bible and I'm like, Bible? Really? Come on. My dad's read the Bible every day for 30 years and never had his business take off. Like, I definitely know that doesn't work. My parents held me underwater till I was Christian and then branded me with the middle name Christian. And like, eventually I just spat that out because I wasn't into this stuff, right? I grew up in this place where they were like, yo, you know, you're a sinner, right? You're unworthy. God doesn't want to be with you. This is kind of an issue. You need to get Jesus and kind of bounce here. So I wasn't really a fan of this. But Neville was like, hey, bro, the opposite is true. While other people are trying to, whatever, suppress you by making you feel like you're super unworthy, so you're stuck in this system so that they can control you for the rest of your life so you can get to heaven after you die. The reality is, God is within all of us. Super weird. Before God created the heavens and the universe, all he had was God. All there was God. So God only had himself to use as Lego bricks to build all of the world and everything. So God is actually in everything. God is not allergic to humans. God is in all of us. And why is that important? Because inside all of us, God has left a magical Harry Potter wand that we can use to start bending our reality and creating the reality. Now, this is kind of freaking crazy because I have never thought of anything like this. And he's like, this stuff is riddled in the Bible, bro. This is all over the Bible. Seek first the kingdom of God and all things shall be added unto you, right? Those who have will be given more. Those who have not, what they do have will be taken away. Be still and know I am God. It's all over the Bible. And he's pointing to this one story on the angel Gabriel coming down to Mary, right? And he's like, yeah, there's this angel Gabriel comes down to Mary. He's like, Mary, you're special. You're unique. You're important. God has this amazing plan for you. Inside, God is going to put a king that when it is born will be given the kingdom. He will come out of you and it'll be the sickest thing you've ever seen. And Mary's like, that's impossible. I'm a virgin. And angel Gabriel is like, with God, all things are possible. And what Neville was talking about was, that ain't a story about Jesus being born. That's a story about you. Inside the Bible, which most people just treated as this history book, Jesus' autobiography, Neville was talking about how these were the greatest keepers of wisdom ever. And they kept the secrets underneath the veil of history. They took a big blanket and they put it over, making it look like a history book, when in reality, it is some of the sickest shit on the planet. And he's talking about that story. He's like, angel Gabriel coming to Mary is God coming to your subconscious, telling you, you are special, you are worthy, you are important. Something amazing is about to happen in you. In the same way that a caterpillar discovers it's a butterfly, you are about to discover an inner identity you have long forgotten. That when you begin to wake up this person inside of you, the kingdom will be given to that person, and greatness will begin to be given to you. And I'm reading this stuff like, that is so freaking true. My whole advertising career has been like telling stories and planting hidden seeds inside of the stories. That's how all this stuff has happened. This is exactly what's going on in the Bible. And then Neville points to 10 Commandments. I'm like, really? 10 Commandments? Really? This is like that thing that Moses went to take down and bring down? I'm like, this was like the weird, like, do you remember the 10 Commandments? You guys learned this in school? Right? They're coming out, our 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. Really? Do we need that one? I guess maybe they needed that back in the day. Is that like really like commandment? Okay, I guess, okay, that sounds useful. Thou shalt not steal. Okay, I got it. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. Okay, you the best God. I got it. You're the number one. Real useful. Thou shalt not take the Lord thy God's name in vain. Okay, right. Now I can't say, oh my God, really? That's it. I get slapped if I say God in the wrong context. Really? That's the commandment that came down? And Neville's like, no, bro. This is some of the sickest shit on the planet. Most practical stuff on the planet. First one, thou shalt have no other gods before me. The God we're talking about is within you. This is a call to responsibility. This is a call to say, other people putting their power in the sky. God, please give me my goals. No, God gave us the power within all of us. If you read in the book, he's the observer. The creator is within us all. So by saying, thou shalt have no other gods before me, it's a calling to realize I am creating my life. The words and the thoughts and the imagination and the feelings I'm putting out are what's creating my entire reality. Now, this is really starting to get crazy because this is actually kind of applicable, right? If my mind is creating my reality, I hope there's a couple laws about how I'm using my imagination. That happens to be the next one. Thou shalt not make to thee any ungraven images. You cannot picture bad things happening, right? How often do you picture worst case scenario? How often do you picture things going wrong? How often do you picture things not happening? This is attracting things in your life. Every single part of your imagination must be world class. You must picture the dopest shit happening in your life. You're creating your own reality. The third one, thou shalt not take the Lord thy God's name in vain. What is God's name? I am that I am, right? Tell them that I am has sent you unto me. What this is like saying, don't take God and form it into a dildo. That's disrespectful. And every single time you say, I am unworthy, every single time you say, I am bad, I'm a sinner, you're taking the God of creation in you and you're forming it into some crap. You must form God, which is inside of you, into the dopest thing you can imagine. Your own highest version of yourself. Every I am statement that you make must be world class. This is a calling to level up the way that you're talking to yourself. This is a calling to take the way that you speak about yourself. Don't talk about yourself negatively anymore and put it on a whole new level. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. I'm going to go through all these. They're bangers. On the seventh day, God rested, not because he had more work. He finished all his homework. He didn't rest he rested because all creation was done. He rested in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. On the seventh day, our own Sabbath day, we are to take breaks and feel the feeling of all our wishes fulfilled, right? You're having the most amazing Sunday that you can because that's what God did on the seventh day. He rested with this feeling of thank you. It's all done. Completeness, wholeness, the feeling of heaven. Like every wish you've ever had has been completed and fulfilled. Number 5, honor thy father and mother. Your father's the conscious mind. It's creating ideas. It's sending it to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is blasting it out to the universe. Energy booming out to the universe. This boomerang effect is what's creating your reality. Your entire reality is the children of this process, right? Your entire reality is just your conscious been working with your subconscious and it's putting together. You got to respect that system. Thou shalt not kill. We all have dreams and visions and pieces of our soul that's designed to be created, that's designed to be brought out to us. We must respect the visions that be brought into us and bring them out to the world. Thou shalt not commit adultery, right? This is going back to the lower version of yourself. It's discovering you're a king, but still going back to your warrior mentality. That kind of stuff. It's having spiritual adultery with a lower version of yourself. They call this having to circumcise in the Bible, right? Cutting off this old version of yourself and commanding that this is the new version of me that we're going to be. Thou shalt not steal. It's about taking stuff, right? God is trying to speak to you. God is trying to talk to you. When you go and take other people's ideas, you're not listening to the story God's trying to say to you. Shit's a banger. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Bad energy, you put it out, you get it back. Energy is what attracts. Energy in motion is called emotion. When you put bad energy on another person, you have this bad negative emotion on them in their life, you get that back to you. It's the state of, it's a reflection, it's a boomerang that comes right back at you. And the last one, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. This lacking energy of saying, hey, that guy's got a cool house, I wish I had that. Love that guy's Lambo, wish I had that. This lacking energy creates more lack in your life. You push it all away. Fucking 10 Commandments is a freaking banger. I want to make sure I covered everything really quick. The last pieces. This is why it's so important to work with God at the end of the day. Listen, here's the thing. God just wants all of your wildest dreams to come true at the end of the day. That's why we work with God. You don't work with, I used to hate this God idea because I thought God wanted me some church boy. You know, like when I was a teenager, I liked boobies. And I thought God hated me because of that. So like, he wants me to hang out with this guy who's constantly judging me all the time. Of course you're going to spit that shit out. But God loves all of you. And this is why we have to get on God's plan, right? It's just the dopest life you could possibly imagine. God does not want to waste your talents and waste your soul for something bad. He wants the dopest things on the planet to happen to you. Think about the parable of the talents, right? God gives a task to somebody, they crush the tasks, and they get a better job. So inside of how do you work with God, God has given us this power to manifest, right? The power to create our own reality. Well, how do you do it? This is where shit starts to come together. I'm trying to remember that quote from Romans. Thou shalt be transformed by the renewal of your mind, right? Starting with this one. Ye shall be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Your entire reality has been created because the thoughts that you have. Everything around you is because of old thoughts, beliefs that you possibly have. And for you to transform your mind, you can't just add in a couple new ideas and a couple new pictures. You must transform all of the ideas about who you are all the way top down to discover who this new identity is, right? From going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. It's a completely different mindset all the way. And you have to turn your back to the old one and begin to turn it to the new. But the energy, the final thing you have to crack, because it's not just learning identity and learning new thoughts, the energy, right? Energy is what attracts. Energy in motion is emotion, right? It is your emotions that's creating your reality at the end of the day. It is the emotional boomerangs that you're sending back to the universe that ends up coming back to you. Here's a question. What kind of life is somebody living, Adam, who wants something and is putting out want energy? Lack. Troy, what about need energy? Neediness. Which one do you think that attracts?
More lack.
More lack.
We're not happy.
It's like even an intenser lack. You know, wanting and needing is a little bit more like intense about it. Garrett, what is the core emotion a man is living from when all of his dreams have come true?
Peace.
Peace. Peace. This is about the idea that we all must start with the energy in order to get the other energy, right? You must seek the feeling of the wish fulfilled for you to get it back to you. A change of emotion is a change of destiny. When you begin to change your emotion, right? When you hear that idea of like, yo, we got to get this, I got to get my girlfriend, all these people, that could be lacking energy you're putting out there. Oh, that's kind of scary. Or, oh, that must mean God has this amazing plan for me to attract more abundance into my life. That's the plan. So Neville wraps this story up by telling the story of Moses, right? He's like, remember Moses, this guy that got called to a higher calling, kind of like how we all get called to a higher calling. We all get like, we have something bigger and better for us to all go out and do. And he goes out and he goes to rescue these people who were enslaved, kind of like we all get enslaved in the businesses that don't work or enslaved in a model. And they go out and they start to move and they're excited. And then they hit the what? The Red Sea, right? The impossible task. The situation that you get yourself in where none of your strategies can get you out of it. Not a single plan that you have is going to work. And then what? Fear starts to come after you, right? The Pharaoh is coming and he wants to take it all back. He wants to kill you. Your friends are coming back saying that you're stupid. And then what does Moses do? He raises his staff to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And all of a sudden, a possible door opens. That's what faith is, right? Faith is feeling. If you really believe that something amazing was about to happen to you, you'd be radiating the energy. And the thing with God is, your feeling is the proof that you believe at the end of the day. You read that Conversation with God book, it's like, you can't hack this, you can't manipulate this. And by the way, you're not manipulating God here. God gave us this power. He's trying to work with us. But the manipulation part says that, listen, you don't actually believe that's true. That's why you can't feel it. Faith is the feeling. And as soon as you get in the feeling, the impossible door opens and the Red Sea parts and you begin to walk through it. And then as you pass into the promised land, the waves crash down on who you used to be behind you. And you can no longer go back to the life you used to live. And I'm like, this is pretty fucking relevant because I'm in a kind of Red Sea right now. I'm screwed, right? My business is jacked. I don't have a single idea on how to get out of this thing. I'm going to do this Moses stuff. So I start to think, what's the one goal in my life that if I was able to manifest would get me out of the situation? I'm like, oh, it's a business partner who's also a mentor. Perfect. Yeah, if I had a business partner who was also a mentor, I think I'd get out of the situation. What emotion would I feel if I had a business partner who was also a mentor, right? Because this is the whole thing. Faith is feeling. What exact core emotion would I have to radiate on a daily basis to have the universe send me back an experience that makes me have a business partner who's also a mentor? I'm like, oh, that would be exciting. That would be amazing. I'd be stoked out of my mind. I'd be praising God every single day. This kind of energy. And what God was calling me to do right here, just like God calls all of us to do, when we all get called to go do certain things, he's just saying, I am promising this land for you. Are you going to believe? Are you going to have faith in me? Are you going to radiate the energy of actually having it now? So here I am sitting in this hotel where my entire world is burning around me with zero plan on how to get out, except my only plan is just to feel the wish fulfilled. When you're at the Red Sea, all you can do is raise the staff in your mind to feel the wish fulfilled. And I'm sitting there every single day. I'm like, thank you, God, for this opportunity. Thank you for giving me this amazing business partner. Thank you for all of this. And I'm in the battle of faith, right? Where you have to feel it. Even though your entire world says you're screwed, you have to feel it. And for 2 weeks, I sat here and began to hold this energy. I got a really weird skill set, by the way, right? VSL, they call me the god of VSLs in the world that I come from. I need a copywriting team. I need a media buying team. I need a badass production team. I need a badass authors who have world-class books. And I need to be able to film all these big-ass documentaries, basically, that advertise on the internet. We have a really rare skill set. And then one day, I'm walking on a boat 2 weeks later in Croatia, and happens to be the founder of Mind Valley sitting on the boat. And I'm talking to him, and he's like, yo, I'm like, how's business? He's like, oh, actually, it sucks right now. Webinars kind of took a big dip. iOS 14 hurt us. We're burning kind of like 50 grand a day. I'm like, really? You know, I actually think VSL's beat webinars. He's like, oh, that's kind of cool. But we're just kind of hanging out and chilling. I'm like, where do you live? He's like, I live in Estonia. I was like, great. Can I go back and sleep on your couch? I'm sick of sleeping in hotels in like Stockholm. He's like, sure. So next thing I know, I'm at his house. I'm like, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to help him out with his ads. I'm just going to see if I can help him. And I'm looking at this place and I'm like, oh my God, right? They have like 50 authors. They do world-class video production. They have a dope media buying team. They're doing copy. This is like heaven for a guy like me. I was just in my own version of hell. And now here I am looking at this heaven situation. And I'm like, yo, Vishen, what's your Wi-Fi password? He's like, oh, it's $10 billion. Like $10 billion? My Wi-Fi password's $170 million. I'm like, how much equity would I need in this company to make $170 million if they were $10 billion? That's like 1.7%. I'm like, bro, can I get some equity in this play if I build up this division and take it off? He's like, sure. We're back in business. We're back in business. Could you believe it? 6 months later of white knuckly grinding, because the plan that God has isn't always perfect, we end up cracking some campaigns that become the biggest in the world. I'm able to sell some equity back, and boom, my life takes off again. And then I realized why God took the money away. Because the situation to solve Mind Valley was so challenging and caused so many 16-hour white knuckling days that if I had the money, I would have just gave it up. I would have quit. And more importantly, God wanted me to have a story of actually believing in faith and a story of actually overcoming a Red Sea moment, right? You want faith? You want to work with God? God puts weights on you. Guess what? Weights don't come in the form of feathers. A lot of times, you know what I'm saying? Weights come in the form of weights. In those moments, I can't go back now. Like, I'm just so God-focused because I read 200 books on business and nothing worked. And the last book I read was Conversation with God before my life went from falling apart to falling together. I can't get over this stuff, right? So, inside of the book, we have a workshop, right? And here's the core idea. Seek first the kingdom of God and all things shall be added unto you, right? This is it. What does that mean? The kingdom of God is heaven. What is heaven? Heaven is the feeling of all your wishes fulfilled, right? It's where every single dream you've ever had has come true, and now you are complete, you are whole, you are fulfilled, you are free. You feel amazing, you're at peace, you're incredible. Well, if this is saying is we have to get into this emotion, then all things will be added into us. The first thing you have to do is know what all your wishes are. This is the key. So on Tuesday, we're going to do a workshop where we're going to break down this workshop where we go through exactly how to discover what your wishes are. But there is an amazing way to do this. And I'm just going to leave you guys with this, which you can start doing. Because at the end of the day, what we all need to do is identify all of the ideas on who this higher version of ourselves is, discover the identity transformation that you have, because you can't tell a caterpillar to spread its wings and start flying. You know what I mean? You have to figure out who the higher version of yourself is, and then you have to program yourself, right? You have to transform your mind, get rid of all, wash away these old beliefs, and create a pile of new beliefs that begin to reprogram your mind. So, in this journal, there's an exercise. And this is something I just want to share. Last thing. There is a story about a candle who wanted to know who it was. It's in the book. But this candle was in front of the sun. It was surrounded by lights. And the candle was clueless about who it was because it was basically invisible when all there is light. So what God did to the candle was it sent it to the darkness. And the candle was like, what the hell? Why'd you put me in the darkness? It's all crappy out here now. And then God's like, so you can know who you really are. Because in the darkness, all the pain that you're going through reveals who you really are. And instead of complaining about all the pain that's happened in your life, every single pain that you have is a blessing that's here to show you who you really are at the end of the day. So the first question we ask in this whole thing If we have 5 minutes, I'd love to rip them through it.
Go.
Open the book. I think it's, see that? I'm going to find the page for you guys. This is going to help you discover who you really are. And I want you to change the way you're feeling emotionally about the problems in your life, the things that are paining you. It's right in the middle. Let me find this thing. Actually, it's a little bit to the front. Okay. 59. It's on page 59. What pains you most in your life right now? This is a thing that you have to do with all of the pains in your life, because it's so easy for us to be so pissed off about them and frustrated about them. But I want you to write down all of the things that pain you most in life right now. All of the actual pains. Because what these pains are doing is they're going to show you who you really are and who you really love. I feel like I can't do it in my business. Well, guess what? The next version of you feels like they can do it in their business. Money's tight right now. Things aren't working. I don't have millions of dollars in my bank account. Well, guess what? The real version of you, money's abundant. They have millions of dollars in the bank right now. All of your pain will reveal to you who you are. And as you write down the pain, the next thing is, on the next page, you're going to start getting clear on the 5-year, 1-year affirmations and your visions. And these will become the sickest affirmations you could possibly say to yourself, because they are completely related to you and your pain. So take 5 minutes and just vent and give a little gratitude to the pain that you have. And then begin to flip it.
Okay, Jesse Barlow, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
I love this one. Automatically, I'm already going opposite. So I actually love where Peter's going with it. It's like, what's all the shit? What's the stuff that's your biggest pain inside of your life? Yeah, easy. But then what's the opposite? And so it's like, God damn. Yeah, that's the version that I actually love that fulfills its whole. Yeah, like who the fuck is that guy? How the fuck do I get to be that guy and bring that guy up? What's the steps in between it?
Yeah.
Let's fucking do that. I can get excited about that because I feel the passion behind it. So that I can do. Like, okay, cool. Like,
Notice where the trigger is. You saw painful shit, pivot the pendulum, and you see them.
Mm-hmm.
What did Peter Wright teach us? Candle gets taken away from the sun, put in the dark so it knows itself. Goes from knowing to knowing, but not knowing, to this darkness of being in the quote unknown only to know itself. Your best shit's ever come from being in the pit. Because it's a place you've actually found your light. This is why the shit we're doing at Warrior has never been about let's get people to church. We don't need more people clapping in church. We need more gladiators on the front line living light in the dark. Turn the light on in the night. This is why I don't give a fuck. I'm not playing in that frame. That's not my call. It's also not my call to fuck with, so just kind of they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Like it's different. What you're doing is different. What we're all doing is different. But it starts with that. Justin, what else you see?
The commonalities between us sharing our pains, it was wild. Like as Nick went through his list, I'm like, yeah, that's the same thing I just said almost, just worded in his own way. So it's nice to be around someone that understands.
Yeah. And how many of you have found that the more you talk about your pain, you realize that you're not alone in your pain? And the crazy part is knowing that you're not alone, what does that bring for you? Okay, good. Comfort that should push you where?
Put me where?
Should push you where?
Forward?
Yeah, for a lot of guys, it doesn't. So it's easy to get commiserated in your pain. Oh, you suck, I suck, good, we're friends. Yeah, you want to drink about it, and then we'll cry together about 9 shots from now.
and then do it again next week.
And let's do it next week. I'll see you next Friday. Okay, cool. So what else? Dave, what are you seeing?
That feeling of wish fulfilled is incredible. And I was talking to Andrew about this, like, how much of you did you come out of the box like this, like naturally? You know what I mean? Like, you were grown, like
Me?
yeah, like because
I just want to get rich.
I know, but but is it natural to embody it this way because it's infectious the way you're communicating it and messaging it, or did you get yourself there? Do you get what I'm saying?
Got myself here. Okay. The only reason why I have a book and because I'm doing this is because after I manifested my soulmate, I thought I'd wonder if I could manifest a $1 billion AI company. And then I started one and then I was burning a lot of money. So I'm like, fuck, I got to bring myself back up to speed, super hardcore. But this time put together a routine anyone can follow. So I am not going to be the next manifestation teacher. I'm going to be the next AI billionaire and fucking rock a business. But in the meantime, I'm just going to write down what I learned real quick. So I'm up to speed because anytime anything struggles happens, I go back to God. Except this time get ultra clarity. I'm back in it again. Because the thing about spirituality, it's a cool idea, and then you're back in the weeds and you kind of forget it or whatever.
But was there a transition to you were, I wouldn't say like a miserable fuck, but like somebody you were like not as manifesting to manifesting?
Yeah, he told you.
Yes, the last thing I did was...
It's tough to envision it, right?
7 failed companies in a row over 7 years, 2 evictions, 1 car repossession. The last thing I learned while I'm sleeping on my friend's floor with cockroaches running over me, reading this book is I had been a broke entrepreneur wanting to be rich. And every time I get close to my goals, God pushes it away, which is what I've been asking for because I keep commanding that I'm a broke entrepreneur who wants to be rich. Then I switched it. Fuck that. I'm a rich entrepreneur trapped in a broke guy's body. That's what's going on here. And I began to radiate gratitude. Thank you, God, for making me rich right now, for coming up. That switch was what changed my energy to have things stop from falling apart to falling together. That was everything. That's why I doubled down. The energy.
Fake gratitude.
That's it.
Until it's like fucking holy shit gratitude.
Well, that's the thing. It's like almost, and I don't want to like take anything away from God, but almost like being delusional a little bit in the beginning. Yeah. Because you need to be delusional to do big shit. But
it's
then
not much of delusion as it is a deep-seated truth on who you are.
But who God is delusional as far as we can even understand. So like we're seeking him as we get more fucking crazy because you can't comprehend God.
The entire Old Testament is filled with delusional men.
Yeah.
The whole fucking thing. One after one of just delusional fucks who thought they heard God and they manifested a new reality. But to the point they cut their own foreskin off their penis and then convinced all their soldiers to do the same. That's fucking leadership. Knives are coming out in an hour. Craziness. Delusional. Everyone's delusional until they what?
Win.
Until they fucking win. Elon Musk was a psychopath until he won. All you're seeing him, I'm the same reason I'm drawn to him and his girlfriend. Like, hanging out with these two is craziness.
It's amazing.
It's fucking craziness because it's like they block the grid on their brain to see anything different than just go, success, and win. Danielle and I are fascinated. Like, everyone's around them. When we hang out with him and Caitlin, everyone we know, it's the same thing. It's like watching it. It's like you can't stop watching. So I don't understand what's going on. His girlfriend's like 10 times bigger. Like her energy is like fucking ridiculous. Like so positive, so connected. I mean, these are the ones that taught us to like start speaking mantras into each other when we were having sex. Because they were telling us about it on the podcast. So I was like, that's fucking crazy. I'm gonna try that shit. It's delusional, and it was like intense.
It's seductive though. It's exciting. Like it's something you want to be around.
Yeah, it's what works. And there's one final thing we all have to do, because unfortunately you can't just switch everything into affirmations, because although the caterpillar dreams about flying and has goals and is sick of his life being a caterpillar, the caterpillar is never one who flies, right? In the same way, the current version of you right now that has all these problems is not the version of you that has solved all these problems. The last thing we all must do is figure out, and you have to ask this question, it's gonna be on a few pages after this, is what is the core identity that my future self is living from? Just a month ago, I got this download from a God to become a king, which was weird. Because I've been a warrior this whole time going for God. I'm like, that's kind of weird. I don't know, like that vibe. It's kind of egotistical or whatever. But I was asking myself, what is a king, right? A king is a kingdom, a people, a queen, treasure, wisdom, an army of generals, round table, God, team, high energy. And I'm like, that's actually exactly what I'm looking to create, right? The warrior vibe was perfect, but God is calling me to go higher and hit bigger goals from this new identity of being a king. And from this is what began to work with me, identifying as this warrior king, someone who is still listening to God, but is doing it from having warriors underneath them. So that was my core identity transformation. And from there, all of the affirmations will begin working, right? My old version of myself sucked at systems. I'd do them, I'd forget them, didn't care. The new version, the king must be world-class at systems. The only way you can run a kingdom, right? And the same is with you. The pivot you have to discover is what is the core identity your future self is living from. This is why when you hear Garrett talk about God's asking him to do being, but he wants to know what to do. God's saying being. He's saying, God, what do I do? God is saying, ask me, who am I calling you to be? Because God can't say to the caterpillar, go fly. Go do flying. He has to call you to be a new version of yourself. And from there, every affirmation you write down will begin working. And you have to write them down and put them into a prayer that you say every single day to God. You need to organize every single one of these affirmations, every single one of the goals that he said. Don't put them in a place where you never see them. It has to be part of your daily routine where you go, God, thank you for calling me to be a world-class, iconic, legendary warrior king. So I can do the dopest shit on the planet for you. My systems are on fire. My treasure is amazing, right? My queen is on fire. I have the dopest wisdom. And part of discovering this new identity has a thing of, hey, there's bullshit you're doing, right? You have dope goals over there, bro, but you're not burnt out because your goals are so fucking dope. You're burnt out because you've been a warrior trying to do a king's task, a king who needs to have multiple warriors. That'll get you burnt out, right? Then king is able to crush the dopest shit from a place of ease and peace. That's the core emotion the king is living from. And then the last thing is, what is the core emotion your future self is living from with all your goals achieved? Ask, figure out what all these details are, seek, what is the core emotion I have to feel now to attract this life into me? No more wanting, needing energy, all I am energy. Thank you, God energy. Peace, freedom. You want freedom? You must radiate freedom from this new identity. Transform your identity, and then all of your affirmations will work. And you'll believe them. Don't transform your identity, none of this will work. That's the rundown.
I share one thing here. One thing I'll tell you, and this is the crazy part, I think, because I love this stuff, and something super important to me is fucking tell people about who the king is. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that shit, like that for me is where this connected massively is I was telling people about shit for me that I don't know how the fuck that's going to happen, but it didn't matter. It's all part of the story. If you're unwilling to tell people who the king version of you is, you will never fucking get there. You will not transition to warrior or from warrior to king. So who will you tell? Whether it's just your wife, or it's your best friend, it's in this room, like, hey, I'm going to go fucking do this. I'm going to become this. I'm going to solve this. Not just an affirmation, but tell another fucking human. And if you're scared to do that, it's going to be a fucking friction road. And that's just my 2 cents.
And there's pieces you're going to be shown that are going to be terrifying. I mean, the one I'm still working through right now came from 4 different sources. None of them know each other. Plus came from myself. Plus came from one of our girls sitting in our attorney last week who wrote it down on paper and came to me with it, which is the men I'm actually called beyond what we're building to go lead. Terrified. Names, specific names. I'm still working through it. Because in that place, I'm asking myself what question? Who am I to do that? Who the fuck am I to do that? Like, who am I to be that guy? Give me 6 weeks, I'll be there. I'll be there emotionally. But it's been 4 weeks since it became impossible for me to ignore. I'm not moving to your mind, man. Exit. A lot of the people I thought I was getting mentored by, I'm being called to lead. That's a fucking reversal. Terrifies me. Exciting. I kept saying 10x warrior. I was like saying it and God reversed it. No, it's warrior 10x. There's a soberness that comes in when you actually step into what you're called to. It's scary, it's terrifying, it's What does this mean?